Good evening, dear one. Let us dedicate a few quiet moments to God and to the power of silence. We will speak truth, yes. We will voice the promises that have steadied saints and prophets. But let us remember even now that it is not the voicing of truth that performs the work. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that follows the statement of truth. We take the word into our heart, and then we become still. The seal is placed upon our treatment through our silence. Listen with me to the hook that will carry us through our time together. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper now. Be silent. Do you feel the weight of that? Not as a boast, not as defiance against a foe, but as a resting in the only power. No weapon now. Be silent. For God is the only power. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil power opposing the infinite. As we accept this, fear loses its ground, and the mind that was scurrying for solutions comes to rest in the one. How then shall we feel spiritually protected without striving or fear, not by might, not by power, but by the grace of God, not by argument, not by self-defense, but by the presence that says, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. There is a season in the life of every sincere student when alarms ring. A diagnosis, a headline, a sudden phone call, an ache in the night, a bill that seems larger than the paycheck, a word spoken against your good name. You are not alone in this. In every age, disciples have heard the footsteps of fear approach. But let us begin now with the one assurance that never changes. God is the only power, not two powers, not a contest of forces. One power, one presence, one life. The trouble in our experience is not in a thing, not in a person, not in a circumstance. It is in the acceptance of a belief in two powers. The very minute we withdraw that belief, the fear begins to dissolve because there is nothing to oppose omnipresence. Let us step through a gentle gate from alarm to quiet trust. We are not going to fight shadows tonight. We are not going to arm the mind and meet imaginary dragons on an imaginary battlefield. We are going to remember who walks the valley. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Do you hear it? The valley remains a shadow when seen from the light. It casts, forms, and suggests threats, but it has no substance in and of itself. The only substance is God. This is the temple of the living God. Right here, where you sit, closer to you than breath, nearer than hands and feet, is the one that says, be not afraid. It is I. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. I and the Father are one. I knew a woman, let us call her Anna, who woke one dawn to a hard knocking at her heart. News had come. Something she loved seemed to be threatened. A letter from a lawyer lay on the table, and the mind leapt into a courtroom filled with arguments. She told me later that before her feet touched the floor, she remembered two lines, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. And then she was quiet. She did not rehearse a defense. She did not assemble warriors. She drew a single breath and whispered, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Then she sat in silence. The truth had been spoken, but she knew it was not her words that could secure her way. She waited upon the Lord. By the time the sun reached the window, the fear had melted as surely as frost before warmth. The letter still lay upon the table, but the heat had gone out of it. When at last she read it, she found a human matter to be addressed, but not an enemy with a sword. What changed? Not the paper. Consciousness changed. The belief in two powers gave way to the recognition of one. Now then, let us adopt a posture for our time. We will robe ourselves in promise consciousness. We will clothe thought with assurance, not to persuade God, but to remind ourselves of what is spiritually so. Hear this. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Lo, I am with you unto the end of the world. Be not afraid. The Spirit of God is upon me. If God be for us, who can be against us? No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. These are not future hopes. They are present tense realities that we allow to register in consciousness. Let them turn like a gentle wheel. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Be not afraid. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Yea, though I walk, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Speak them softly, then be silent. Speak again, then be silent. For the power of God is made manifest in the silence that follows the stating of truth. Do you see the tender wisdom here? We are not trying to make a power out of our words. We are clearing the mental space, sweeping out the cupboard of fears and arguments so that grace may be recognized. Once the mind is steadied by promise, we do not keep hammering away with affirmations. We close the door and wait. That is the agenda of our practice. First, a protective litany to quiet the sea, truths that robe consciousness and assurance. Then 12 minutes of hush in which we do nothing and let grace do everything. You will find that when you become still after the truth, something within you rises to meet the Word. It is the Word behind the Word. It is the life that knows itself, the presence that fulfills its own promise. Let us be very clear. Safety is not secured by human effort. You might remember, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. We translate it thus, not by personal will, not by mental pushing, not by striving, but by the grace of God recognized in silence. Every time we attempt to protect ourselves by opposing, competing, resisting, we make a reality of the very shadow we fear. But when we retire from the field and stand still, we see the salvation of the Lord. We are not passive. We are receptive. This is the difference between helplessness and holiness. In helplessness, we say, I can do nothing, and we despair. In holiness, we say, of mine own self, I can do nothing. And then the Father within me, he doeth the works. I want you to hear another line and let it settle as a soft refrain. Wherever I am, the presence and power of God is with me, not somewhere else, not later, not when circumstances improve. Wherever I am on the street, in a meeting, at a bedside, reading the notice, hearing the report, wherever I am, God is the only presence. Make that your inner glance. Turn within to the place of quiet and acknowledge, this is the temple of the living God. As we do, the atmosphere changes. The room that seemed crowded with opinions grows spacious. The breath deepens. The thoughts that hurried begin to slow, and beneath them emerges a steady assurance that needs no proof. That assurance is the protection. So here is our way this hour. We begin with a gentle litany of promise spoken not to the sky but to the heart. We allow these words, no weapon, I will never leave thee. Thou art with me to robe our awareness. Then we close the lips and enter 12 minutes of hush. We do not ask. We do not bargain. We do not imagine outcomes. We rest. And in that resting, the Spirit bears witness in us to itself. It is then that we learn, not by hearsay, but by demonstration, that no weapon that is formed against us can prosper, for there is nothing to oppose the infinite. Let us, then, step together through this gentle gate from alarm to quiet trust, from effort into rest, from trying to be safe into realizing the safety that is God. And let this be our remembrance as we begin. God is the only power. I and the Father are one. Be not afraid. The Spirit of God is upon me. I will never leave you nor forsake you. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Speak it once, let it embrace you now. Be silent, and in that silence, let grace do the work. Now then, we come to the heart of our work. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or an evil power. God is the only power. Remember it. Rest in it. Let that one truth unseat a lifetime of alarm. God is the only power. Safety does not come because we have armed ourselves against a second power. Safety begins the very moment we withdraw belief from a second power and quietly abide in the one. As a matter of fact, the moment we agree that there are two, we make ourselves subject to the one we fear. But when we return to the recognition of one life, one law, one presence, one power, the appearance of opposition is dissolved as mist before the morning sun. You see, nothing in itself, apart from God, has power. Disease is not a power. Shortage is not a power. Menace is not a power. There is no power in a circumstance. There is only the power we have assigned to it by believing there are two. Anyone who accepts a belief in two powers places themselves under the yoke of their own belief. It is not the germ. It is the fear of the germ. It is not the threat. It is the belief that a threat carries law and life of its own. And because the mind beholds its own belief, it says, there, you see, it has happened again. No, dear ones, it is the mesmerism of duality repeating itself. Wake from it. God is the only power. Look up here and consider this simple picture. A child sees a toy serpent upon the floor. The child does not know it is a toy, and in a spasm of terror the little one faints. Now tell me, did that rubber serpent possess power? Or did the fear, the belief in it, produce the entire drama? The serpent was a thing of nothing. It could not bite, it could not move, it could not think. And yet under belief, it became as death itself. Have you not seen it? You have. And so it is with a report on a page, the whisper in the street, the shadow that crosses the heart at noon. The object does not carry the force. Belief confers the only seeming influence. Take away the fear, take away the two, and the toy is what it always was, harmless. Or, if you wish, imagine a vial sealed upon a shelf, and in it, so they say, are a million reasons to tremble. Will they leap from the glass? Does that glass have mind? Does that vial carry a will apart from God? No, there is no will, no law, no life apart from the infinite one. Beside me there is no other, says the Eternal. When fear is admitted, the heart bows to a phantom. When truth is admitted, fear bows and departs. The shadow on your wall cannot bruise you. The shadow of a sword cannot cut. So also the valley of the shadow of death. Remember, it is a shadow, and what does the psalmist say? Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. There is the entire secret. Not an argument with the shadow, a recognition of the presence. Never deviate from the first chapter of Genesis. In the beginning, God. Not danger, not disease, not division. God. And God made, and God saw, and behold, it was good. And then the great summation. Very good. That is the law. That is the cause. That is the nature. Do not grant a cause to what God did not cause. Do not assign a law to what God did not ordain. Do not write a second chapter in which another creator arises with another creation. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God, the Lord is one. I am the Lord, and beside me there is no other. Build your house there. Let the winds blow. Let the rains descend. The house founded on one does not fall. What then shall we do when reports come? When suggestions of lack circle our thought? When menace seems to stand at the door? Do not fight. Do not lift the sword of the mind against a phantom. Resist not evil, said the Master. And he did not counsel cowardice. He invited us out of the arena in which mesmerism wins by being acknowledged. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Behold rather than battle. In beholding, you withdraw belief. In beholding, you cease to add your breath to the fire. In beholding, you return to the one. And in that instant, the wind of fear drops. The sea becomes glass. In stillness, in silence, in quietness, in confidence, the power that is God is made manifest. Now then, how do we behold? We turn within to the place of witnessing, right here, where you are, closer to you than breathing, nearer than hands and feet, is the life that is God, the I that I am. I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. Not this body of flesh, but this indwelling awareness wherein the Father's life is your life, the Father's law is your law, the Father's safety, your safety. From that holy center you look upon appearances, and you do not call them power. You do not pronounce them law. You simply rest and let one be one. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hear it now, not as words in a book, but as the living assurance of the presence that is your very breath. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. In such recognition, what is there to resist? Who is there to fear? Take a quiet moment within yourself, even as we speak, without strain, without effort, consent. God is the only power. Let it fall into you like gentle rain. Not by might, not by power, but by the grace of God. And as you consent, notice what loosens: the clenched place in the thought, the hard angle in the brow, the future narratives of what if and then what. They are merely the echoes of belief in two powers. They are not you. You are the beholder. You are the witness. You are the one in whom the Father bears witness to himself. And in that beholding, a different energy establishes itself. Quiet, quiet that does not argue, quiet that does not sign a treaty with fear, quiet that knows no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. The weapon is not the terror. The weapon is the belief that terror has law. Withdraw the belief, and the weapon rusts upon the field. Do you see the shift from fighting to beholding, from striving to resting, from propping up our walls to discovering there is only one wall and it encircles all, love? This is not irresponsibility. This is the only true responsibility, to be faithful to the one. The mind will say, yes, but be practical. Prepare for the worst. The Spirit says, be still and know that I am God. Which voice shall we honor? As we live in the one, we do the things that are ours to do, but we do them unafraid, unhurried, unanxious. We make our phone calls, we drive our car, we receive our news, but we do not induct a second power into our temple. We do not bow to a rumor. We do not grant law to the unlawful. We abide, and abiding is victory. Remember, the demonstration is not produced by our words. The demonstration comes as the seal upon our beholding. The words are the clearing of the path, the broom that sweeps away the debris of yesterday's fear. But the power is the presence, and the presence is realized in the hush that follows our acknowledgement. So when you find the heart quickening, when the world rushes at you with its headlines and its alarms, stop if only for one breath and say within yourself, God is the only power. And then be very still. Let God be God. You will feel it a softening, a vastness, a relief, as if a hidden hand had lifted a pack from your shoulders. That is the withdrawal of belief. That is the return to the one. And so it is that we learn to walk through the same streets with a different government upon our shoulders. Not human power, not personal might. The government of the one, the Spirit of God, is upon me. Make that your remembrance as you pass through your day, not to ward off danger as if danger had a spear, but to acknowledge the fact that where you are, God is, and where God is, there is no second. In that awareness, the things that once loomed like mountains become as toys on the nursery floor, unable to move, unable to harm unless we stoop and breathe fear into them. God is the only power. We will not deviate from this, not in the face of symptom, not in the face of lack, not in the face of threat. We will not draft a second creator with a second law. We will not consent to two. We will behold the one. And as we behold, fear dissolves into quiet confidence, and quiet confidence flowers into protection. Thou art with me. I will never leave you nor forsake you. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, not as future hopes, but as the present law of the one. Remain here a moment in that assurance, and let the heart know safety begins now, as belief in a second power is withdrawn, and we rest simply, gently, steadfastly in the one. Now we take what has been seen and let it become prayer. Not a prayer of asking, but a prayer of recognition. We allow Scripture to speak not as history, not as the memory of saints long gone, but as the voice of the one speaking within us now. We let the promises become the robe we put on, the armor we wear, not to fight, but to rest. We speak softly, we pause, we let each word descend from the lips to the heart, and then we are quiet for a breath, as if placing a candle within the sanctuary. No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. Say it within yourself, not to defy, not to challenge, but to rest. No weapon shall prosper. God is the only power. Be still a moment. Let the fear that was reaching for reasons find nothing to cling to. Remember, voicing the truth is the sweeping of the floor. It is the clearing of the mind. The cleansing is in the word. The healing is in the hush that follows. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Speak it gently, as one who has already crossed the valley and discovered it was only a shadow. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Pause again. Do you feel the weight of presence behind the words? It is not the syllables. It is the silence that agrees with them. It is the infinite acknowledging itself where you are. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Let that be heard as addressed to you now, where you sit, where questions once crowded. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. The mind grows quiet when it has nothing left to protect. Lo, I am with you always, unto the end of the world. Always unto the end, not with a promise of later, but with a fullness of now. Be not afraid, the Spirit of God is upon me. Whisper it, then cease from whispering. The Spirit of God is upon me. Do you see how the atmosphere changes when the Spirit is allowed to witness to itself? I and the Father are one. State it without bravado, state it as fact. I and the Father are one. In that oneness, there are not two powers contending. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or a rival will. There is one. God is the only power. Now a breath in stillness, in quietness, in confidence. This is the temple of the living God. Let that identify you, not as a human seeking a God somewhere else, but as the place where God is recognized. This is the temple. Here, where I am, holiness abides. I am robed in promise. I am clad in the armor of spirit, not steel, not argument, not defense, spirit. Feel the robe settle across your shoulders. Assurance, gentleness, invisibility to harm. Feel the armor close about you, not hard, but sure, not heavy, but light, armor that does not bruise, robe that does not restrict, the robe of promise, the armor of spirit. Then the holy pause that lets the fitting complete itself. If God be for us, who can be against us? Again, let the question answer itself in silence. If God be for me, who can be against me? The heart knows there is no against in the presence of the infinite. Underneath are the everlasting arms. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and then know. The knowing follows stillness. It never precedes it. We speak to prepare. We rest to realize. Let us cycle the promises as one beads a rosary of the soul. No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. Pause. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Pause. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Pause. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Pause. Be not afraid. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Pause. I and the Father are one. Pause. This is the temple of the living God. Pause. God is the only power. Pause. Let the string of them circle once, twice, until the mind has nothing left to clutch and the heart begins to listen. We are not attempting to induce a feeling. We are not trying to make anything happen. We are acknowledging what is spiritually so and allowing the acknowledgement to empty the room of intruders. When the room is quiet, when the inner sanctuary is prepared, the guest is recognized as having always been present. This is why we will not rush, and this is why we will not linger with words once the air has cleared. The seal is placed upon the treatment through our silence after the stating of truth. We voice the promise to robe consciousness. We close the lips to let the robe rest upon the shoulders and cling of its own accord. You will notice that as these lines repeat, you become less interested in their sound and more aware of their substance. You will feel the shift from agreement to assurance. Agreement says, yes, that is true. Assurance says, here I am, it is fulfilled. The difference is the silence. The difference is that sacred interval in which no thought is managing, no mind is arguing, no fear is projecting. In that interval, grace does the work, not by might, not by power, by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Let this be your practice. Even now, as we approach the hush, speak one truth, then dwell without speaking. Let one promise clothe you, then be motionless within. Do not string too many together without the pause. The pause is the altar. We are not piling offerings to gain attention. We are laying a single flower and then waiting until its fragrance pervades the whole house. One line, one breath, one recognition, then another, then stillness deepening. Say again, with the last of our words before we retire from words, no weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Lo, I am with you always. Be not afraid. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. God is the only power. Now let the garment be your garment. Let the armor be your armor. Let the temple be the awareness that you are. Presently we will enter 12 minutes of hush, not to persuade, not to plan, but to let the seal be placed, not by us, but by that which knows its own. Until then, hold this quiet cadence. Promise, pause, presence. Speak, be still, and let grace do the work. And as you become silent, know that the work is finished in God, and that in realized oneness no weapon prospers, for there is no second power to forge it. Be very gentle, be very still, The sanctuary is prepared. Now then, dear one, let us do the one thing needful. Sit as you are, but sit as a temple would sit upright yet at ease. Let the spine be quietly tall, as a pillar in a sanctuary. Let the shoulders soften. Let the jaw unhinge its project of holding the world. Let the tongue rest gently against the roof of the mouth. Place the hands open in the lap as if to say, I ask for nothing. I receive everything from the one. Allow the breath to be as it wishes, unforced a tide that knows its shore. Let the brow cool. Let the eyes, if they wish, fall closed. And in the heart, without phrase, without explanation, let there be a consent. Father, here am I. We have spoken the promises. We have clothed the thought with assurance. Now, release words, release plan, release even the sacred sentences you love. The power of God is not in the many words. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that comes after the stating of truth. So we become very still. We do not outline the way our protection should appear. We do not ask for signs. We do not picture outcomes. We welcome the presence. We take our hands off the wheel and let the defender within defend, not by might, not by power, by my spirit, saith the Lord. Make of your breath a soft amen, and then forget even that. If a movement of mind comes to gather arguments or to review the threats of the day, it is no cause for alarm. Do not push it away. Let it pass as a small bird crosses a wide sky. The sky is not troubled. If you need a single thread to steady the mind, touch it very lightly as one would touch the prayer beads, and then let it go. God is the only power. And then, again, wordless. If you notice the body, let it be simple and at rest. The hands are open, the shoulders soft, the breath gentle, the heart consenting. We are not making something happen. We are consenting to what is already so. I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. Here, beneath the hush of your thought, the timeless invitation. Be still and know that I am God. Not be still and imagine, not be still and wish, be still and know. Know without describing, know without a picture, know without effort. And why, in this manner, remember in a way that uses no language that the Father within me, he doeth the works. Let the will rest. Let the great defender be the defense. He that keepeth Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. You need not keep watch over the doors of the city as if a second power could raid the sanctuary. The Holy keeps watch over itself as you rest in it. The seal is being placed now. It is not an emotion. It is not a sensation. It is not a private vision reserved for a few. It is the quiet fact of God fulfilling itself where you are. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Not a rallying cry, but a law realized. There is no prospering outside the one, and there is no outside to the one. In this silence, the argument for two is dismissed without a hearing. In this silence, the dream of rivalry dissolves. In this silence, the shepherd's rod and staff are felt not by touch, not by sight, but as a settled assurance. Thou art with me. Rest there. Do not improve upon it. Do not fan it into fervor. Rest. We are in the secret place of the Most High, not somewhere else. Here. We abide under the shadow of the Almighty, so near, so complete that there is no exposed place in us, for in him we live and move and have our being. Under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth is thy shield and buckler. Do not try to feel the feathers. Do not search for light. Let the no thing that is everything hold you. Let the gravity of God draw you to its still center. A thought may say, but what about? And you will notice there is no continuation to that sentence in the holy hush. There is only a fading as day's noise fades in the evening and the stars take their posts. See if you can recognize the quality of this silence. It is not sleepy. It is not vacant. It is awake and gentle, like a lake at dawn, its surface so still that it mirrors heaven without effort. Feel how the mind becomes wide when it is not busy. It has room for God. And in this room, there are no negotiations, no bargains, no counterclaims. The presence is here. The presence is its own evidence. Do you notice how, beneath the noise of thoughts, there runs a great soft river? That is the presence bearing witness to itself. Do not step out of it to check your progress. Do not take your pulse. Let the river carry you in stillness, in quietness, in confidence. Right now, wherever you are, this is holy ground. Take off the shoes of your mental traveling. You do not have to get to God. Closer to you than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. The I that is God is the I that you are. Not a personal I made safe by a greater I, but the one I through which the Father lives and moves. This is the temple of the living God. And in a temple, voices are low, feet are unhurried, thoughts know their smallness and bow without strain. Sense that you are not the protector, not the planner, not the watcher on the wall. The wall itself is love, and love knows how to be its own circumference. Trust the agency now. The mind has had its useful task. It delivered you to the door. It is relieved of duty. The spirit within is on its own business about the Father's business. The demonstration is never the result of your good words. It is the result of your yieldedness. And you are yielded. You are not asleep. You are not vacating your life. You are consenting to life, to live itself, to law, to enforce itself, to love, to embrace itself as you. If a remnant of fear jostles you, hear the Master's word to the tossed sea. Peace, be still. Say it once within, and only once, as a benediction, and then be still with the sea that obeys. Fear may attempt to argue for its rights, to present scenarios. We make no defense against it in its own court. We refuse the premise. We do not push it down. We do not rise to meet it. We see through it. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or an evil power. If the mind requires a touchstone, offer it the softest touch. God is the only power. Then open the hand of thought again, and let even that pearl slip into the sea of silence where it dissolves into knowing. Return, 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 not to thoughts, but to the one that is here without thought. There is no delay in spirit. There is no distance in omnipresence. These 12 minutes are given to God. We will not count them. We will not time them. We give them and forget we have given, as a child gives a shining stone to its beloved without keeping a ledger. If you notice time, smile at time and let it run on like a brook beside the temple. You are in the sanctuary. The walls are not of stone. They are not of sound. They are of stillness. You are robed, not by imagination, but by recognition, in the robe that is promised consciousness. It does not glitter. It steadies. It is the armor of spirit, the armor of light, which is no armor at all in the human sense, but the effortless invulnerability of the one. Grace is doing its work now, not later when we feel better. Now, the Father within is arranging the seen and the unseen without you arranging anything. Where adjustments are needed, adjustments are made. Where a crooked place is presented, a straight place appears. Where a door is closed by the mind's reckoning, another door is found in the wall that seemed blank. The rod and the staff are guiding and they are comforting. You do not have to locate the guidance. You do not have to measure the comfort. Let the allness be all. Hear inwardly, without words, the old assurance. I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. And we do not repeat it. We rest. Notice the breath again. Not to manage it, but to recognize how life breathes you. In breath, out breath, without effort. In the same way, let the presence think itself, move itself, protect itself as you. The human will rests its case, not by might, not by power, by the grace of God. And grace has no strain. Make no attempt to clear your mind. It is not your work. Make no attempt to feel love. Love is feeling you. If attention wanders, let it return as a leaf returns to the surface after a fish has stirred the water. There is no condemnation here. There is no should. There is only is. Listen for the phrases that breathe through silence as fragrance, not as sound. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. Let it pass. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Let it pass. Fear not, for I am with thee. Let it pass. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Let it pass. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Let it pass. Do you notice the pattern? Promises arise. They kiss the surface of awareness. They sink back into the sea from which they came. The sea remains calm. The sea is God. Some will wonder if they are doing this correctly. In the hush, there is no grading. There is no comparing. There is only the simple fidelity of sitting in God. The simplicity is the perfection. Be not afraid of too little happening. Be not excited by too much happening. Be not a judge of your own sanctuary. Allow, abide. The prophet spoke a line which, when translated by the heart, reads thus: in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Not in doing, not in protesting, not in proving. In quietness, in confidence, in stillness, in silence. Let the words fall away and keep the essence. Let even the essence dissolve into being. You may become aware of a softness around you, as if the edges of the room have receded, or you may feel nothing at all. Both are the same in spirit. If there is any sense at all, it is that of being upheld by something you did not assemble, a presence closer than close. It does not begin when you notice it. It is noticed when you are still. The vine supports the branch, whether or not the branch studies botany. As the Father hath life in himself, said the Master, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself. Here the Son does nothing of himself. Here the Son abides. And in abiding, the life flows. Now, very gently, let a gratitude which has no words bloom. Gratitude not for a result, not for a change, not for a rescue, but for God being God. Gratitude that the one is one. Gratitude that you can rest in omnipresence without securing its borders. Gratitude that there is no second power to ward off, no enemy to debate, no private proof to chase. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. Do you hear the ease in that? Stayed does not mean clenched. It means rested upon, leaned upon, reclining in. Stay in that sense. Recline the mind upon God. We are approaching nothing. We are not going somewhere. We are letting go of the sense of elsewhere. The demonstration, when it comes, will not be an event added to your shelf. It will be the natural shining of what already is recognized. In this hush, protection is not added to you. You discover that safety is the way God is being itself as you. And so we do not beg, we do not secure, we do not brace, We abide in silence, in stillness, in quietness, in confidence. The Spirit of God is upon me. The government is on his shoulder. These are not battle cries. They are the resting truths of the one life. If in this last portion of our hush, the thought of any person or place arises with a request written upon it, do not reach for it. Let it be in God. Remember in your manner of no remembering, wherever I am, the presence and power of God is with me. Wherever they are, the presence and power of God is with them. There is only God. Without forming words, let the sense of oneness replace the sense of pleading. Let the vibration of trust answer every imagined call. The Father within them doeth the works. Peace, be. Remain very quiet now. The seal is whole. The treatment is concluded in the only way a spiritual treatment is ever concluded, in silence. Do not disturb the altar with postscripts. Do not pick up the stones of concern. Let God be God. Let love be love. Let law be law. If the mind has one last habit of asking, smile at it and let it dissolve like breath upon a mirror. We are not keeping a vigil with the clock. We are keeping a vigil with the eternal. I am with you always, whispers the presence without sound, and the heart replies without voice, Amen. And so we rest a few moments more, wordless. The river flows. The light rests upon the water. The valley is a shadow. The shepherd is the real, the rod, the staff, comfort. Keep yourself in this awareness, not by clutching it, but by not moving away. The one truth remains: God is the only power. But even that sentence now is too much. We let it be true without holding it as thought. We let it be the law of being here without declaration. We let it be in the calm. The proof is already underway without your arranging. In the hush, grace demonstrates protection. In the stillness, the one knows itself as your very life. Stay, be. Gently now, let us return to words, as one might open the eyes after sitting in the dawn. Do you notice it? A softening in the chest where once there was a brace against the world, an ease in the mind where arguments had gathered their proofs, a quiet gladness that asks for nothing and yet feels full. This is not the product of phrases. This is not the result of personal effort. This is the evidence, the Spirit bearing witness with our spirit that God is the only power and that the presence has been recognized here within. Let us not be in a hurry to explain. Let us be simple and direct. I and the Father are one, not two, not near, but one, closer to me than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. The life that is God is the very life that I am. I have not summoned it. I have consented to it. I have not reached for it. I have rested into it. The hush has done its office, and now the word rises as confirmation, not as effort. I and the Father are one. Right here, this consciousness, this awareness that is quietly aware of itself, this is the temple of the living God, not a building of stone, not a sanctuary beyond the hills, but this abiding within. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? Receive it not as doctrine, but as identity. This is the temple, here, now. I cannot go anywhere and leave it behind, for it is my very life. Nor can I go anywhere to find it, for where would I step that is outside of omnipresence? In him we live and move and have our being. It is fulfilled. It is so. Notice, too, how the sense of safety has altered. It is no longer a hope that circumstances will turn. It is a certainty that presence is here. Safety is not granted by condition. Safety dawns as recognition of the indwelling. The valley may still appear as shadow, but I will fear no evil. for thou art with me. And in that witness, shadow has no authority. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Do you feel how differently that sounds now? Not as defiance flung at an enemy, but as the calm law of being, in which there is no second power to give the weapon substance. God is the only power. Therefore the hush you have tasted is your shield, your robe, your assurance. We do not leave this awareness to return to a world. We do not step out of a temple. We discover we are the temple moving through appearances. Wherever I am, the presence and power of God is with me, as me, in me. If I ascend the heights of the day's joy, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost part of the sea of tasks and traffic, even there thy hand shall lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. If a report comes, if a face frowns, if a wind rises, it rises within this that I am, and it has no law apart from the one. The spirit that whispered in the hush whispers still, fear not, for I am with thee. It is the same voice. It has never been absent. Let your gratitude arise, but let it be gentle. Let it be the sigh of a leaf that discovers it was always connected to the branch. Thank you, Father. That is enough. No reaching to hold, no clutching at the hem, as if the presence might pass by and be gone. It will not depart. It cannot. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Gratitude that grasps becomes petition in disguise. Gratitude that rests is worship. Let thankfulness be a soft bow within, and keep the inner quiet. Be still in your thanks, and the thanks will deepen into knowing. Now then, look out upon the same room you occupied before the hush. It has not changed, and yet it is new. Because you are new, not as a person improved, but as an awareness clarified. Safety has ceased to be a project. It has become a presence. The urge to manage outcomes falls away. The compulsion to defend against shadows loosens. Be still and know that I am God. In stillness, knowing. In knowing, reassurance. In reassurance, protection. Not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. The Spirit has borne witness within you. Let that witness be your atmosphere. Say softly within yourself, not to begin another litany, but to acknowledge what is. I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. God is the only power. Then listen. The listening is still the core of our practice. The words are only the doorway we gently open to re-enter the sanctuary where no syllable is needed. The hush you knew does not vanish because the tongue resumes. It abides as the ground tone beneath all speech, beneath all seeing and doing. Hold that tone. Carry it like a fragrance you do not try to smell and cannot misplace. You will find that even now the mind, having tasted ease, remains workable and meek. Thoughts may arise, but they are not the governor. Feelings may move, but they are not the law. The law is one. The presence is one. The power is one. What does this mean for us? It means that protection is realized as the recognition of God within, here and now. Not as an amulet, not as a fence, not as a strategy, as a recognition. Recognition ends the search, and with it ends the fear that we may not find. What is there to fear in that which I cannot lose and cannot depart? Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world, always unto the end. Let the body be easy in its chair. Let the breath be simple. As you rise from this hour, do not rise out of the hush. Rise within it. Let each step be on holy ground, for there is no other ground. If you speak, let your words come from the center where the silence keeps its promise. If you choose to act, Let your movements be unhurried, for haste is the child of fear, and fear has no lodging in the temple. If a thought of danger knocks, do not answer the door with combat. Answer with recognition. This is the temple of the living God, and God is the only power. In that moment, the knock is heard for what it is, a memory of two in the house of one, and it fades. Once more, gratitude, but without grasping. Thank you, Father, for thy grace. Thy grace is sufficient for me. Let it end there. No adding, no bargaining. Gratitude completes the circle without closing the heart. And as the circle completes, feel again the evidence in the body, in the mind, a softening, an ease, a gladness. These are not goals, they are signs that you have rested where you belong. We have emerged, not from a place into a place, but from effort into awareness. We have recognized that the indwelling is not a visit, but our identity. Never again need we look over the shoulder for safety to arrive. Safety is the recognition that the one who says, I am, is God being itself in us, as us. Hold gently to this, as one holds a candle in a still room, not to make the light burn, but to honor that it does. And as you go, remember only this refrain, that the heart already knows, I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. God is the only power. In that recognition, no weapon prospers, for there is no second hand to wield it, no second law to sustain it, no second life to receive it. Rest in that, walk in that, and let your quiet gladness be the sign that grace continues to do the work. Now let us be very plain. Recognition is the beginning, demonstration is the fulfillment. When you recognize, when you say within yourself, God is the only power, I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. You become a student of truth. Recognition of that makes you a truth student. But when, after the recognition and in the hush that follows, harmony appears of itself, when fear loosens without your argument, when the way opens without your pushing, then you have entered demonstration. The demonstration of it makes you a truth practitioner and, in time, a truth teacher, not by title, not by office, but by the quiet proof that grace is operative where you are. Do not mistake the order. First, the statement of truth, then the silence, then the appearing of harmony. It is not the other way around. It is not that we will the condition to change and then call that God. No. We speak to clear the room. We become still to invite no guest. And in that emptiness, the guest that always was fills our awareness. And the thing that needed doing is done without noise, without strain, without show. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that comes after the stating of truth. The seal is placed upon the treatment through our silence, and then without trumpet, without headline, the fruit hangs upon the branch. What are the fruits? They are simple, homely, unmistakable. Anxiety eases, as if a hand had lifted a great weight from behind the ribs. Decisions, once clouded by what if and suppose, become clear like a path after rain when the dust has settled. Hostilities soften. The face you feared meets you with a humanity you had forgotten to expect. Symptoms lose their terror. The body may still speak its language for a time, but the sting is gone. You discover that the terror was the weapon, and when the terror is withdrawn, the weapon has no metal, no edge, no law. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. It does not prosper because there is no second power to uphold it. God is the only power. Consider a quiet illustration. The phone rings, and you know that on the other end is the one with whom there has been friction. The mind begins to rehearse. It drafts speeches. It sharpens replies. Stop before you answer. Place one flower upon the altar. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Then be still, even if for the span of a single breath enter the hush. Say within yourself, I and the Father are one. Then do not arrange your words. Let them arrive. And what happens? You find yourself speaking from a tone you did not create, and the other, who expected battle, finds no enemy. The tension dissolves, not because you surrendered your integrity, not because you outwitted the moment, but because presence spoke to presence. Be not afraid. In that moment, the valley of the shadow is illumined, and you walk through. Later, you will be tempted to say, I handled that well. Correct yourself gently. Grace handled it. Not by might, not by power, by my spirit, saith the Lord. Or perhaps a need appears in figures on a page, a due date, a lack, an obligation. The heart begins its old drum, stop. Do not draft a rescue. Do not run from door to door knocking with fear. Sit, speak once. Underneath are the everlasting arms. Or, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Then close the lips, rest, consent without designing. And what have you seen? A way opens that you had not considered. A provision arrives, not always from the place the mind had appointed as source, often from the very place the mind had overlooked. The bill is met, the obligation fulfilled. You did not make it happen, you witnessed its happening, and because you bore witness, you learned more than supply. You learned the sequence by which supply appears. Statement, silence, appearing. Recognition makes you a student, demonstration makes you a practitioner. Another time the body signals alarm. A symptom arises, a stab of pain, a wave of heat, a trembling. The mind leaps. Diagnosis, timeline, dread. Be very gentle now. We are not denying the sensation. We deny its authority. Whisper, thou art with me, or I will never leave you nor forsake you. Then retire within the hush. It may be 1 minute, it may be 10. Let God be God. Do not bargain. Do not plead. Rest. Often, as the quiet deepens, there is a release. The breath finds itself. The pain loosens its fist. But even if the symptom lingers like a cloud on the horizon, its terror is gone. The mind is steady. The fear has been dismissed. That is demonstration. And as the fear departs, so often the cloud thins and vanishes, and you stand under a clear sky without having chased a single gust. Be still and know that I am God. In stillness, knowing. In knowing, healing. Do not attribute these fruits to your personal skill. Never forget this. The human mind is not the healing agency. The human mind neither caused nor managed the result. We do not hypnotize ourselves into comfort. We awaken from the hypnosis of two powers. We are not performers on a stage. We are the temple in which the one bears witness to itself. If you should be praised, how wise you were, how lucky, how strong, bow within, and say, thank you, Father. Credit returns to its source. Humility keeps the channel open. The moment we say, my method, my mastery, my success, the current thins, for we have reintroduced a second power, personal mind, into the sanctuary. As a matter of fact, all that was ever asked of us was recognition and consent. Recognition, God is the only power. Consent, thy grace is sufficient for me. Trace the shift with me, that it may be clear in you. Before, we lived by calculation. After, we lived by revelation. Before, we armed ourselves against the world of twos. After, we rest in the one. Before, we thought that saying the right words would produce results by some leverage of thought. After, we know that voicing the truth sweeps the threshold. But the guest visits in the hush, and the feast is set by grace. Before the day was managed from fear, after the day unfolds from presence. This is not passivity. This is activity anchored in the infinite. In Him we live and move and have our being. Movement remains, but its motive is new. You will notice a further fruit. The needed word arrives at the needed hour. You had not prepared it. You could not have remembered it if you had tried. Yet there it is on your tongue or in your heart, a line of scripture perfectly fitted to the crease of the moment. Lo, I am with you always, or fear not, for I am with thee, or peace, be still. And as the word appears, the atmosphere obeys, not because you commanded, but because the word and the silence behind the word are one. The Spirit of God is upon me. The Spirit speaks. The moment listens. Harmony follows. Now then, let us draw the circle to its close. Demonstration, not effort, shows that no weapon prospers in realized oneness. We are not testing God. We are letting God be God. We are not proving ourself. We are letting the self prove itself as the only presence, the only power, the only law. And as this becomes habitual, as the sequence becomes second nature, statement, silence appearing, you will find that your very presence becomes a benediction. Rooms quiet when you enter, not because of you, but because of the hush you carry. Strife eases in your vicinity, not by argument, but by the invisible robe of assurance that drapes your shoulders. Your decisions bless more than your own affairs because they arise from a mind that is not yours alone. You are robed in promise. You are clad in the armor of spirit. Keep this order. Honor this humility. Let the fruits be their own testimony. And when the mind asks for one more proof, answer it not with debate, but with a return to the practice. God is the only power. Then be still. In that stillness you will know again, and the knowing will walk itself out in form, that no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. For there is no second hand to raise it, no second law to sustain it, no second life to receive it. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. And so you go, not to strive, but to witness, not to conquer, but to carry the hush in which grace continues to do the work. Now we walk the valley. We do not leave the hush behind as if the temple were a room we exit. We discover that the hush walks with us as our atmosphere. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. This is not brave talk. It is simple fact when one is recognized as all. Walking the valley means living the day, streets and screens, voices and tasks, without surrendering the inner sanctuary. The practice is not strenuous. It is rhythmic. It is gentle. It is a returning again and again to that which has already been found. Set a rhythm for your life. Choose a time early when the world is quiet and consecrate 12 minutes to the same litany of promise and the same sealing silence. The hour is not sacred. Your consent is. Speak softly as we have done. I will never leave you nor forsake you. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Lo, I am with you always. Then be still. Let God be God. As the days accumulate, do not look for progress. Do not check the soil. Water the root with fidelity. The seal is placed on the treatment through our silence. In that 12 minutes, you are not preparing for the day. You are recognizing that the day, God's day, is already complete, and you are resting in it. In the midst of the day, offer brief replays of the hush. 10 seconds, 30 seconds. The mind will tell you there is no time. Love will show you there is no distance. These are your portable anchors. Carry one phrase: the Spirit of God is upon me, not as a warding cry, but as a reminder of identity. Carry one image: not chainmail, not steel, but the armor of spirit, the armor of light, your robe of promised consciousness, effortless and luminous, that admits no spear because it recognizes no enemy. Carry one breath, a single unforced breath, into temporal awareness, and in that breath feel, without words, this is the temple of the living God. Use the phrase or the image only to open the inner door. Then be quiet again. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that follows the stating of truth. Before engagements, before you dial, before you answer the knock, before you enter the meeting or the kitchen, before you read the report, pause for 3 easy breaths. On the first breath, remember, I live and move and have my being in God. On the second, remember, God is the only power. On the third, remember, I and the Father are one. Then proceed, not armored against, but robed within, not braced for impact, but yielded to the one that lives itself as your word and deed. If you forget and hurry, do not scold yourself. Stop where you remember, at the elevator, in the hallway, with the hand on the doorknob, and reclaim the 3 breaths. The pause is not a delay, it is the act. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Practice non-reactivity as a sacrament. When a headline shouts, when a tone is sharp, when a symptom waves its little flag, do not answer fear with fear. Retire within, even for a heartbeat, and let the only power reveal its allness. The temptation is to argue with appearances, to gather counter-arguments, to stiffen. This is precisely the belief in 2 powers, taking form as your posture. Refuse the premise: there is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or an evil power. There is no power in danger. There is only power in God. Say within, once, as a holy reminder, no weapon that is formed against me shall prosper, and then be still. Do not go on to picture the weapon. Let the statement fall into the hush in which it is law. The Father within me, he doeth the works. In the ordinary frictions of the day, these little withdrawals to the sanctuary are your great defense, because they are not defenses at all, they are recognitions. In traffic, let the steering wheel be your bell calling you home, one breath into temple awareness. In the office, before the send button, let the fingertip rest a moment and remember, be still and know that I am God. In the market, with choices and chatter, let the cart pause as you whisper within, the Spirit of God is upon me. Proceed in quiet. Your steps become measured not by caution, but by presence. Invite gentle community into this practice when it is suitable. You are not spreading a method. You are offering space for God to be recognized. Where 2 or 3 are gathered. Before a meeting, you may say, kindly and without preface, may we take 1 minute in silence. Before a family decision, let us be still a moment. If they consent, do not fill the minute with words. Let grace do the work. Do not teach in that moment. Demonstrate by not doing. The hush is contagious because it is natural. If they do not consent, keep the minute within. Omnipresence does not require agreement to be present. Keep your day robed by a quiet litany that does not clog the mind. When a natural pause appears, standing in a line, washing a dish, let a promise float through as fragrance. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Let it pass. Fear not, for I am with thee. Let it pass. Do not clutch at them. Do not make a braid of many verses. One strand is enough. The important thing is What comes after? The 1 or 2 seconds when the mind yields and the heart rests. Those seconds accumulate into atmosphere. And atmosphere, not argument, is protection. If it helps, appoint simple bells to call you home. The door frame you touch, the chime of the clock on the hour, the moment you sit in the car before the engine starts, the vibration of the phone, each can be consecrated as a cue for the 3-breath pause. Pause. Recognize. Proceed. Not by might, not by power, by my spirit, saith the Lord. Over time, you will notice the false urgency draining from your steps. You will notice that you answer fewer things and recognize more. You will see that quiet precedes action, and because it precedes, it governs without strain. This is how we walk the valley, not as lonely travelers, but as temples in motion. The rod and the staff, which are guidance and comfort, accompany every errand. When something in you reaches to pull tomorrow into today, gently return to the breath and to the phrase and to the silence that follows. Let the only power reveal its allness in the small and in the great. In this manner, demonstration becomes natural. Protection is not added to you. It is recognized as the presence that already is. And so the refrain abides beneath your day as a soft ground tone. I live and move and have my being in God. The Spirit of God is upon me. This is the temple of the living God. God is the only power. Walk on in that unhurried, assured, and very still within, and you will find that no weapon prospers, not because you have learned to fight, but because you have ceased to believe in a second hand to wield it. Now, as we continue in this way, the mind will come politely or sometimes loudly with its little docket of questions. Let us answer it gently, for the mind is not an enemy. It is a servant looking for its rightful master. It asks, are we not denying facts? The noise is loud. The papers are signed. The ache is real. Hear me. We do not deny appearances. We deny causative power to anything unlike God. We look at the wave and we do not argue that it is not a wave. We simply remember that the ocean is the power, not the ripple. In the beginning God created, and behold, it was very good. Never deviate from that first light. When something unlike good presents itself, do not spend your breath prosecuting or defending it. Say within, once, God is the only power. Then be still. We are not trying to win a debate with form. We are withdrawing belief from the notion that form has a self-existent power apart from the one. Be still and know that I am God. In stillness, knowing, the form finds its rightful level. Another voice says, but it is urgent. You must hurry or you will be overtaken. Remember this. Haste belongs to fear. Grace moves in quiet order. Timing is part of protection. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Notice the pace of the shepherd. There is no flogging, no frenzy. My times are in thy hand. When pressure mounts, the old habit is to run to the tool chest of personal might. Resist that with one simple sacrament. Pause. Even 3 breaths of remembrance. I live and move and have my being in God. God is the only power. I and the Father are one. Will unhook the mind from its panic. You will think you are losing time. You are entering time's giver. And then you will discover the subtle miracle. What must be done is done, when it should be done, and what does not belong to you at all falls away without penalty. The valley remains, but your steps are governed by presence rather than by chase. Here is another burden we lift off your shoulders. You do not make protection happen. You consent to the presence that already is. The Father within me, he doeth the works, not by might, not by power, by My spirit, saith the Lord. The human mind, armed with slogans, is not the healing agency. It can clear the doorway. It cannot be the guest. Think of a locked door that opens not by wrestling the handle, but because you ceased rattling it long enough to feel the key in your pocket. Consent is the key. Consent is the way you say, without fuss, thy grace is sufficient for me, and then you rest. Do you see how the burden falls off? The yoke is easy when you are not trying to do God's work for him. You remember our old illustration, the toy serpent on the floor. A child enters, beholds it, and screams. The body reacts. The pulse surges. The breath shortens. We pick up the serpent, bend it, and reveal its rubber nature. In that instant, the child's body resets. Not because we injected a substance, not because we strangled a monster, but because belief was withdrawn. The disturbance was not in the object, it was in the belief about the object. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or an evil power. Translate this to your adult room. A headline, a tone of voice, a letter on legal paper, a figure on a chart, a sensation in a joint. The same mechanism tries to operate. Before you lunge, lift the object into the light of one. Whisper, fear not, for I am with thee, or no weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. Then be still. You are not commanded to crush serpents. You are invited to see through them. As belief releases, peace returns. First and often, as the peace becomes atmosphere, the appearance reshapes itself without forcing. Now, a word about Scripture. Promises are not magic syllables. They are not talismans we wave at shadows. They are doors. We speak them to open into the room where the healing agency is. Silence. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Say it once, warmly, as a friend greeting a friend. Then be quiet. Let the word ripen into awareness. If you string verse upon verse, driven by fear, you may braid a rope that binds you to the very image you are trying to flee. One strand is enough. The seal is placed on the treatment through our silence. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that follows the stating of truth. But what if I must act now? The mind insists. Sometimes the outer form does demand movement. The fire alarm rings. The child reaches toward the stove. The brakes must be pressed. Even then, especially then, there is room for one heartbeat of recognition. One. In that heartbeat, you are not outside scrambling to get back in. You are moving as the temple in which action and presence are one. In him we live and move and have our being. Press the brake from that center. Lift the child from that center. Speak the quick word from that center. You will find that speed is possible without haste, clarity without heat. Protection expresses as right-timed motion because timing and guidance are facets of the same. One. Another worry arises. I tried this and it did not work. Often we are measuring by the wrong clock and the wrong ruler. Did you want the symptom gone in 30 seconds and because it took 30 hours or 30 days, you called it failure? Did you insist that harmony wear the costume you chose? Hear this correction kindly. Demonstration belongs to grace. Your part is recognition and consent. The first fruit may not be in the tissue. It may be in the terror's dismissal. When the terror departs, the weapon lies rusted, for its only metal was fear. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. So often, once fear has been robbed of belief, the outer form follows, like a shadow losing its source. And if there is a lingering appearance, do not let the mind draft charges against the truth. Return to the sequence, statement, silence, appearing. Let the appearing be God's. It always is. Let us bring it to a single gentle point for the mind to carry. We do not fight threats. We withdraw belief and yield to the only power. When the whisper of danger comes, Answer it with a simple acknowledgement. God is the only power. I and the Father are one. And then enter the hush. The hush is not escape. It is the place of dominion without domination, safety without struggle, order without human orchestration. From there, the day proceeds, sometimes with words, sometimes with deeds, always with presence. And in that presence, as promise and as law, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, for there is no second hand to wield it, no second law to sustain it, no second life to receive it. Be very still. Yield gladly. Consent to what already is. The Spirit of God is upon me, and so it is. Beloved, we have walked together from the first tremor of alarm to the quiet certainty of trust. We have voiced the truth to clear the threshold. God is the only power. I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. And then we have entered the hush, where the real work is done. We have discovered again that it is not the reciting of truth that heals. It is the silence into which those truths are surrendered. The seal is placed on the treatment through our silence. There, in that unworded resting, oneness is not believed, it is recognized. And from that recognition, we have re-entered life not as strivers, but as witnesses. Statement, silence, appearing. This is the rhythm of grace. Now receive the closing litany, not as magic syllables, but as living assurances to be worn as a robe. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Hear it as law, not as wish. Refuse the second power, and the law stands revealed. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hear it as presence, not as promise postponed. It is closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. Be not afraid. Hear it as your own heart speaking from the center. The Spirit of God is upon me. Say it softly and then be still, for the power of God is made manifest in the silence that follows the stating of truth. And over all, like a mantle that cannot be taken, let there rest this assurance. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Take your identity now and keep it. You are not a wanderer seeking a refuge. You are the refuge discovering its own doors in you. This is the temple of the living God, where you stand, holy ground, where you go, sanctuary in motion. You are robed in promise consciousness. You are clad in the armor of spirit, the armor of light that needs no weight and makes no noise. You do not go out to fight shadows. You go forth to reveal light. You are not defended by steel or by strategy. You are preserved by the simple absence of a second power. God is the only power. In that, safety is not achieved, it is realized. Carry this into the pattern of your day. Return daily to the sealing hush. Never neglect one single day to let the seal be renewed in silence. Speak the promises once, as we have learned. I will never leave you nor forsake you. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Be not afraid. The Spirit of God is upon me, and then be very still. Let God be God. For 12 minutes, yield without argument, without design. Let the river run of itself. As you keep this gentle appointment, hour by hour, you will find that you need fewer words and deeper silence, and the fruits will ripen without your watching. Quiet decisions, orderly timing, protection manifesting as right placement, right action, right restraint. Do not think your commission sends you into a harsh field with a thin shield. You are sent forth in peace because peace goes before you and abides with you and follows after you. Make it practical in simple ways. Before you begin, pause. Before you answer, pause. Before you leave the doorway, pause. One breath remembering, in Him I live and move and have my being. One breath acknowledging God is the only power one breath realizing, I and the Father are one. Then proceed. This is not delay. This is dominion without domination, action without anxiety, protection without struggle. If in the hours to come the whisper of danger rises, do not debate it. Withdraw belief. Yield to the only. Say within once, no weapon that is formed against me shall prosper, and fall quiet. Say within once, I will never leave you nor forsake you, and fall quiet. Say within once, be not afraid, the Spirit of God is upon me, and fall quiet. Let the hush do the heavy lifting. The Father within me, he doeth the works. And as the hush deepens, the day will shape itself around your realized oneness, and what called itself a weapon will have no hand to wield it, no law to sustain it, no life to receive it. So I bless you now, not with a thing to carry, but with a remembrance that carries you. You are the temple of the living God. You are robed in promise. You are clad in the armor of spirit. You are kept not by a perimeter you draw, but by an omnipresence that cannot be left and cannot be reached, because it already is. Walk gently, walk unhurried, walk assured, and in each step let the quiet within be your Sabbath, your guidance, your invulnerable peace. We have affirmed the one, we have voiced the promises, we have entered the silence, we have recognized the indwelling, and we have stood again in the world as temples in motion. Keep the rhythm, keep the hush, keep the certainty God is the only power. And here, as the benediction that completes and begins your every hour, the Christly word that need not be remembered because it cannot be forgotten, lo, I am with you always, unto the end of the world. Be not afraid, the Spirit of God is upon me. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Peace, be still, and so it is.